Futures resumed their rise on Friday morning as ideas of tighter supplies continue to underpin the Canadian oilseed. The January canola contract adds $1.80 at $620.40 per ton, and the March contract tacks on 70 cents at $629.20 per ton. The Canadian Grain Commission reports for the week ending December 8th that year-to-date canola exports hit 4.03 million tons, almost 88% more than a year ago. Also, domestic use reaches 4.17 million tons, up more than 12% from this time last year. Meanwhile, Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada will issue its December supply and demand estimates next week. It will be the department's first such report since Stat Canada updated its production figures last week. Gains in European rapeseed are lending support to canola, but declines in the Chicago soy complex and Malaysian palm oil are limiting further increases. Modest upticks in crude oil are spilling over into the vegetable oils. The Canadian dollar is lower on Friday morning, with the loonie at 70.22 US cents compared to Thursday's close of 70.48. The United States Department of Agriculture announces a private sale for 200,000 tons of current crop soybeans to unknown destinations. The U.S. National Oilseed Processors Association will release its monthly report on Monday. The average trade guess puts the November soybean crush at 196.71 million bushels. The Malaysian Palm Oil Board says December palm oil production is likely to drop 5 to 8%, maybe 10 to 20%, due to heavy rains leading to flooding. China reports its total grain production for 2024 is about 706.5 million tons, up 1.6% from a year ago. Rounding off prices at the Chicago Board of Trade, soybean futures are lower on Friday morning. The January contract gives up 6 cents at $9.89.5 per bushel. January soy oil slips about 0.2 of a cent at 42.46 cents per pound. January soy meal loses $1.60 at $287.90 per short ton. Also in Chicago, March corn dips a half cent at $4.43 per bushel. March oats are unchanged at $3.62. The U.S. wheat complex is mixed as Chicago March is down 3.5 cents at $5.55. Kansas City March eases back 2 cents at $5.60.5. And Minneapolis March bumps up a half cent at $6.03. That's a look at the ICE futures and the Chicago markets for Friday morning, December 13th. For MarketsFarm.com in Winnipeg, I'm Glenn Halleck.
With all that snow out there, you're going to need Butler Farm Equipment. Stop in and check out their lineup of snow removal equipment, including walking behind snowblowers for tractors, snow buckets, sand spreaders, snow blades, plus snow wings for tractors and skid steers. Tackle snow days with ease with help from Butler Farm Equipment. Decades of delivering great service in the Peace region. See them on 107th Street in Fort St. John or visit them online at butlerfarmequipment.ca.
The opinions expressed on this show do not represent those of the station. If you've missed any of the shows, you can follow the podcast at Energeticcity.ca. Welcome to This Week in the Peace, a show dedicated to the people, events, and news of BC's Peace region. Here's your hosts, Dub Craig and Steve Berard.
Yes, together again at long last. Thank you for being on This Week in the Peace with us today. Later, I'll be talking to Patricia Budgell of the Fort St. John Salvation Army. We'll be talking about the Home Hardware STRAIT Group Toy Drive in support of the Salvation Army, which has been going on basically for the whole month, but really wraps up today and tomorrow. We're going to be there live, Moose FM, today and tomorrow as well. So we'll talk a bit about what that's all about and how important it is to the community in just a few minutes.
But first, now that the dust has settled on the provincial election that happened a few weeks ago, we're joined by Peace River North's new MLA, Jordan Kealy, to discuss his experiences in his new position so far. Jordan, thanks for coming on today.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a whirlwind so far.
I'm sure we're always happy to have you. So we're not in the moment anymore. You've been working for a few weeks now. You're starting to get settled in your office here in Fort St. John. How does it feel? How's everything been so far, in your opinion?
I knew it was going to be a lot to take in and a steep learning curve, but there's a lot more that goes on in behind the scenes that people think about. There's the events that I've attended already, like Remembrance Day and the Santa Claus Day parade. But then there's a lot of work that goes in behind setting up 2 offices, one in Fort Nelson and one in Fort St. John. And then you've also got staffers that you've got to line up with those contracts. But then you've still got everything that has to get set up at the legislature. And this is the first time we've had so many new MLAs. And we actually have brand new ridings as well. So legislature's a little bit slower trying to catch up and get going with us. But my offices will be open soon. And that was one of my main priorities, is that I wanted to make sure that we've got those offices there for constituents when they need help.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. You posted on social media, and you were alluding to this a little bit, that after the election, you had to spend some time basically learning the ins and outs of being an MLA. Can you walk me through what that process was like?
Yeah, so the process is it's a very different dynamic than other levels of government. So you get orientations of processes, procedures, how the House works, the different roles of government. It's very important, and it's very useful as well. The legislature's actually been very helpful. And then it also, when it comes to part of that is helping you set up your office,
right?
Helping you be able to get your staff the devices that they need, because it's not something simple like you just go and buy their devices. It all has to be through the legislature. It's got to be approved by them, have the security in place. So there's a lot that goes into it. And then and the fact that, like, when I won the election and they announced the initial count, I had like over 1,000 social media comments and responses that I was trying to deal with. I had close to like 500 text messages and then over 100 phone calls.
Sorry about a few of those.
Yeah. So it really is like trying to drink from a fire hose. But I'm starting to get my feet underneath of me, and I'm looking forward to the new year. Unfortunately, when it comes to a lot of the issues that we're facing, it's very difficult to deal with those when the current government is happy waiting until February. It's nice to, I guess that's great for them to have a paid vacation like that. But our role as the official opposition is we want to hold them to account, and we want to make sure they're doing their job properly. And we've got the numbers to make that a very tight race.
Yeah, I want to touch on that a little bit, because the last time we had you on the show shortly before the election, and one of the things that you told me was that you were hoping, if the Conservatives formed government, you would be named the Minister for Agriculture. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but because you guys are the opposition, you were named the Shadow Minister for Agriculture. How does that feel for you?
So it's actually interesting that we have enough MLAs that we were able to actually partner with other MLAs to be critics in different roles. And I'm partnered with Ian Payton for agriculture, and Ian has agriculture, fisheries, and the ALR, ALC. And then I actually have a different folio that's very interesting, because I'm really not too much of a critic to the existing ministry, but it's for agriculture expansion and food security. And one of the things as to why that John developed that position is that he wants to increase our food production. He wanted to double our food production, which is that's a huge feat to make that happen. And then also look at the food security issues that we have, and looking at trying to focus what we produce at home. And I love that fact, because that is what I'm all about. And I'm looking forward to that role. There's a lot to be involved in that. And then the information that we get from that, we can also use that to transition when we form government too.
Yeah, for sure. Can you actually tell me, for people who maybe aren't super familiar with what government process looks like, what your role as a critic entails sort of in the day-to-day space?
So in the day-to-day space, that's actually one of the things with the MLA school, is that we were going to be going over a lot of that when we were first start to sit, and there is a chance that we could have done that at the end of November. Our role is to pretty much analyze and look at the bills, and be a part of the committees that are in place to keep a check in place as to what the current government is looking at, And my primary concern too is that when you, especially with my critic role, when you look at rural BC, is that right now there's a lot of our current government that isn't actually a part of rural BC. Right. And I think that mindset is different between when you look at the two different areas of our province, and it's such a vast province. So our main role is to hold the NDP to account.
For sure, absolutely. One of the other things you touched on a little bit before the cameras came on here was that your offices in Fort St. John, also in Fort Nelson, I assume, are the same locations that were used by the previous MLA, Dan Davies. Can you tell me a little bit about the rationale behind taking those same locations? Yeah,
it's my main focus was to make sure those constituency offices are in place, because we are opposition. There are a lot of people that have concerns, and I want to make sure that their voices are heard. So our offices in Fort St. John are going to be open very soon. And then same with Fort Nelson. We've had a couple of snags that we're working with the legislature, but they'll be around. And then I've also a lot of the people that are contacting me through social media. I've been reaching back to them as well. So it's very important to have those offices in place. And the office in Fort St. John here will have a full-time staffer, and then the office up in Fort Nelson will have a part-time staffer.
Okay.
So we don't want Fort Nelson to feel secluded, and we want to keep that level of service available.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. One other thing I want to touch on really quickly, there was a letter that you and several of your colleagues signed recently making the rounds urging for the reinstatement of the vice chair of the Vancouver Police Board. Can you do me a favor and just from your perspective kind of walk me through that situation and what it looks like?
So with that letter, this is one of those scenarios where when you try and keep something quiet and work with the leader, you hope something stays private, and that you don't want everything to blow up in the media. This was one of those scenarios where it did get leaked to the media. Unfortunately, one of the main things that we had an issue with was that I've tried a lot of the time that I've ran. I may have personal opinions on things, but I've always tried to prioritize the party and my constituents. And I made it clear to John before that I'm going to represent my constituents first and foremost, and that I won't be whipped. And this was actually a great example of where John said that he's not gonna whip this other MLA. That she has the right to her opinion, and that even John was felt on the same side as when it came to the constituent that you're talking about. So I think that's one of the great things about our party is that it's very diverse and has a lot of different opinions. And I think it's a learning curve that people make it sound like it's a giant fracture or rift in our party, or that we're the cancel caucus. This is just a learning curve.
Right.
When it comes to having caucus meetings and having private information coming forward and being able to work these things out between caucus, it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
And that's something that we're able to do. And I think that's the great thing about our party is that we don't have to just whip all of our candidates in total line, and it allows us to have our constituents' needs first and foremost. And I really think that's a great thing. I think that when it comes to our personal opinions, that maybe we need to kind of put those off to the side a little bit more, and focus on what our constituents need and our party's core values.
For sure, absolutely. Is there anything else you want to touch on while we still have you here? Any stuff coming up? Any engagements? Anything like that?
I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that went out and voted, and to be a little bit patient. I am brand new, and I'm working really hard to make sure that I'm here to help. And that we need our lives better, especially when you talk about the food banks needing more donations, and the gifts for children that are by donations. This is needed more and more when you look at our cost of living. So I'd also like to say that I hope everybody has a wonderful Christmas, and that they take the time to enjoy it with their families and their loved ones. And you'll be seeing a lot more of me as well.
For sure. You mentioned really quickly that people can get in touch with you on social media. What social media and where should they look for you?
So I've got my Facebook account, and some people are critical that I need to change the name from candidate to MLA, and Facebook only lets you change your name so often, so I had to wait. I'm still waiting for the time frame to be able to do that. But you can message me through there, and then as soon as I've got my office open and the email and phone number in place, then I'll put that forward on social media. So it'll be on Facebook and Twitter as well, or X.
Perfect. Thanks a ton for your time today, Jordan.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. That was Peace River North MLA Jordan Kealy. We'll be right back with Patricia Budgell of the Salvation Army on This Week in the Peace.
A new year, new opportunities. Apply now to join UNBC in January and start your academic journey sooner rather than later. Explore more than 70 undergraduate programs from business to computer science, biology to environmental studies, economics to political science, and more. The degree you want to help you succeed on your future path is achievable from one of the best Canadian universities in its class. Apply today at unbc.ca.
It's Merwin Optical's biggest sale of the year. Now through December 13th, buy one pair of glasses and get the second pair free. Ready-to-wear sunglasses are 30 to 50% off, and no brands are off limits. Plus, Merwin Optical now offers optometrist eye exams, and they directly bill to all major insurance companies. So use up those year-end use-it-or-lose-it insurance benefits for yourself or a family member. Additional charges for specialty lenses. Merwin Optical on 101st Avenue, Facebook, and Instagram.
There are milestones that every person goes through in life. School, graduation, going to college, getting your first job. And in the background, there's a vehicle that's getting you everywhere you need to go.
Sometimes it's a small vehicle just for you, sometimes it's something bigger for your growing family. Sometimes it's the truck that gets you through the snow and off the road.
Whatever you're looking for, Fort City Chrysler is there to help you. We know how important it is to get the right vehicle for the right price, because we've been there with our families.
Come see our friendly staff and get the answers you need for whatever vehicle you're looking for. It's Fort City Chrysler on the Alaska Highway.
Or at fortcitychrysler.ca.
Santa baby, slip a toy under the tree, you see. Been an awfully naughty girl, Santa baby. Hurry to the closet tonight.
Naughty or nice, Veronica's Closet is full of great gift ideas this holiday season, including all kinds of grown-up stocking stuffers. Stop in and see their selection of lingerie, toys, games, massage oils, and more. Have yourself a naughty little Christmas with help from Veronica's Closet, your all grown-up store, on 93rd Ave and also on Facebook.
Get ready, because the final Fort St. John Métis Society's weekly bingo is this Tuesday at 7 p.m. and it's gonna be huge. We'll be playing 4 games this week: the Anyone line for $300, X for $500, Big Picture Frame for $600, and a blackout jackpot of $1,500. Grab your purple cards for just $5 at the Fort St. John Métis Society office or at more locations, with details at moosefm.ca/bingo. Don't miss out. Tune in this Tuesday at 7 p.m. at moosefm.ca/bingo for your chance to win big with the Fort St. John Métis Society Weekly Bingo.
BC Gaming License 153829. 19 plus only. Know your limit. Play within it.
Moose Country weather.
Pine Pass is under a snowfall warning. Could see 15 centimeters through tonight and into tomorrow. As for us, a mix of sun and cloud. Temperature falls to -7 this afternoon with a wind chill of -12. Tonight turns cloudy with a chance of flurries late this evening, turning to snow tomorrow morning. We'll see a low of -11, feels like -18. Tomorrow, 5 to 10 centimeters of snow expected. High of -7, feels like -20. And cloudy Sunday with a 30% chance of flurries. The high of -16.
You can watch this show live on Facebook. Catch the replays at Energeticcity.ca or be part of the show by texting your thoughts to the Fort City Chrysler line at 250-787-2222.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Dub Craig. The Home Hardware STRAIT Group toy drive wraps up today and tomorrow, and we're hoping to have Santa's sleigh overflowing with toys for local children and teens in need this holiday season. So to talk about this wonderful annual holiday tradition, we're joined now by Patricia Budgell of the Fort St. John Salvation Army. Patricia, welcome to This Week in the Piece.
Good morning, you guys.
I didn't ask you before. Did I get your last name right? Or?
Actually, you nailed it. You've been practicing, so I do appreciate that.
I meant to ask you before and I didn't, so I'm glad it just.
Nope, you did great. You nailed it, really.
I wanted to talk about you for a second, though, because as far back as I can remember, I've been trying to participate with Katarina and co-host before in the Kettle campaign every year, and you've been a big part of that for some time. So I feel like you've been helping out with the Salvation Army for some time. So let's talk about that first. Like, kind of, why is it important to you that you were a volunteer and now you've taken on a bigger role even this year than kind of ever before? Talk to me a bit about that journey you've been on with the Salvation Army, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so when I originally moved to Fort St. John, I had a very young child, Evelyn. She's been also very great, coming along with me, doing all the things. And I wanted to get involved in the community and kind of give back where I could on a schedule that would allow me to have her in tow. Growing up in Newfoundland, my family was a big part of the Salvation Army Church. I was exposed in a very different way, but I was able to kind of get a feel for how the community worked and rallied around the Salvation Army that way. Yeah. So it was a no-brainer when I came to Fort St. John and met with Cameron and Tatiana, and kind of just asked how I could help. Everybody in Fort St. John is very busy, and I just found a place where I could fit building toy hampers. I started out building toy hampers and organizing the toys. And that was that was a very good feeling for me to be able to help and give back in that way. So that was in 2019. I had started volunteering. And then this year when I found out, I guess I started helping out organize volunteers and stuff too as the years went on. I took on a few more roles where I could, doing what I could and just helping out, and really just got the good vibes and the good feels from the volunteers and everything the Kettle campaign kind of stood for. So that's kind of why I jumped in. This year I had a little bit more time. They're a little bit short-staffed, and they really needed someone to fill that role and be able to help make Christmas happen and get this kind of kicked off and manage it. So it's been full-time job, 8 to 9:30 every day, it seems like. So I do feel very fortunate that I'm able to take this on and help the community. It's been great from a history coming from the church and now seeing it work through the community on the other side. It's been a great experience. Yeah.
And I know we've talked extensively about the Kettle Drive on the morning show. So I'll just quickly say again, if you've got some time, there's still shifts to be filled. safsj.org. You can sign up for shifts there. But we want to focus on the toy drive, which, Home Hardware has been collecting toys and donations since the 1st of December, as I understand it. We're kind of at the big push at the end. Berard and Chris are going to be there this afternoon doing their shows live. I'm going to be there, and Katarina for a couple shifts on the radio again tomorrow, talking about the toy drive. This is a wonderful annual tradition. If someone's not from Fort St. John or haven't been here for a while, tell us a bit about this and why it's so important.
Well, we do have a lot of people in need in the community. Fort St. John is a very supportive community that comes together for families that are in need. I believe we have the highest birth rate per capita in Canada. So there are a lot of families, a lot of children that really benefit from this program. We have over 200 toy hampers alone to fill this year. These are families that are struggling. We've had a lot of changes, especially since COVID. People are still trying to get back on their feet.
Canfor Mill closing in just a week and a bit here, right?
Yes. And, mortgage rates increasing and rents going up and utilities going up. groceries going up. I mean, groceries went up like 20% in the last 4 years. So these people just need a little bit of help making Christmas happen. Christmas is a very important time for me to spend with family, to kind of, you know, get those good vibes and good feelings. And when parents have that little bit of relief knowing that they're able to support their children and they can sit there and enjoy that Christmas morning, it really means more and provides that little bit of hope and that little bit of uplifting as they go into the new year. So having these toy hampers for these kids, I mean, you're making the kids Christmas, but also the parents, you're making their Christmas so they can actually see and enjoy that time with their family. So having this toy drive and having the community come out and support that way, it really means a lot more and goes a lot further towards the mentality and the good feeling of Christmas, taking a little bit of pressure off those that have struggled so much this year.
Yeah. And you said there's about 200 people just receiving the toy hampers. Are they in concert with sort of the food hampers they may also get for the holiday season, or is that kind of dependent on, you know, their situation?
Yeah, so we do have individuals that get food hampers.
Yeah.
But we do have a lot of families that are signed up, and I say 200 toy hampers. It's probably well over 200 children included in that.
Absolutely.
Some families have, you know, multiple kids.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be, it's going to be a huge challenge to be able to do that. But hopefully with the support of the community coming out and giving these toys, we're going to be able to make sure that we have a really good Christmas for all those kids too. So
absolutely. Yeah. Now I should say the Home Hardware Straight Group Toy Drive in support of the Salvation Army. What you do is you buy a toy. It's got to be unwrapped and new. You bring it to Home Hardware. There's a big sleigh set up, and you put the toy in the sleigh. And our goal, like it is every year, is that sleigh is overflowing. It is in the aisles. You can't get around Home Hardware easily because the aisles are blocked.
They love you for
by
that,
so
I'm
many
sure.
toys. I'm sure they do. You know, like it makes it hard to get around. There's just so many toys that if I remember right, even if the toy hampers are filled, these then go to be used for birthdays and sort of, you know, kind of get pushed into the new year, right? Because it's not just Christmas where people are in need of toys and whatnot. Hey.
Yeah, that's the truth. We do have a birthday program. So obviously there's a lot of information that we get from the clients to be able to provide them their needs. So when we know that someone has a kid's birthday coming up, we have a couple options for them to be able to choose one of those toys. We don't have a ton of inventory left over usually, but we do have some options. We have a teddy bear toss coming up too. That's a little later in this week, so we'll have some teddy bears left over to be able to give out as well. But yeah, essentially these are children that, you know, there's Easter, there's birthdays, there's grandparents that come in over Christmas just for food hampers, and they're like, oh, you know, my grandkids. So we actually have a table set up as well for grandparents to come in and just be able to grab a toy for their grandkids as well, and that gives a little bit of uplifting. So there's always a opportunity to get the toys out there. So I mean, it's managed in a way where everybody in the community that needs it gets to benefit from it. Absolutely.
So what kind of tips then do you have, Patricia, for people who might be out shopping today? Maybe they're shopping for their own kids and they're looking to help out in terms of even need, right? Because I think we often hear there's lots of toys for kids who are, you know, younger. Teens tend to be harder just in general to shop for, or at least the perception is. And that's sort of a need that needs to be filled as well. So tell us a bit about, you know, you're out shopping today. What should we be looking for? What kind of, in general, ideas are great ideas for kids of all ages and especially teenagers?
Well, I have reviewed Santa's list. We have been chatting. I've reviewed it maybe 3 or 4 times with him.
You and Santa have been chatting.
Santa and I have been chatting.
Yep.
We have reviewed the list 3 or 4 times. We may have typed it out and accidentally deleted it and then typed it out again.
Oops.
Yeah, that's fine. Tech's not my thing. So extensively going through, when it comes to teens, yes, we do have a strong need for teens and to be able to fulfill. There's a lot of social pressures for teenagers. So being able to give a gift card for a local takeout or an experience, maybe like the movies or bowling, or one year we had someone donate haircuts actually for men and women. So that, like, those types of, I have a teenager, it is extremely hard to shop. Her list is ridiculous. Gift cards are a very, very safe bet, and it helps keep those teens that are in need and won't get to have those experiences be able to go out and participate in those types of things, shopping with their friends and doing getting, their McDonald's or their Burger King or Tim Hortons, whatever. Landmark Cinemas is always great. Giving the kids something to do. So we are always short on gift cards. So if you have the opportunity to purchase one that can help those teens kind of stay socialized and doing things throughout the year, those are very much welcomed. Legos for teens as well. We have so many requests for we have the flowers and we have the cars and we have all the different things now. So that those are a big request. Kids of all ages love those. Adults of all ages love those too. Dub, you got a couple of Legos?
I've got Lego.
We know.
All right. Yeah.
Also, beauty supplies for teenage girls. I don't know. It feels like it's more of a thing than it was when I was in high school. But there's a lot of requests for stuff like that, or hair stuff, So if you're out shopping at Shoppers Drug Mart or Winners, and you see some of those things that you can pick up, we've had a lot of requests for stuff like that too. And that's a lot of keeping them socialized and doing the things that their friends are doing in school. So that's those are pretty big needs, as well as pajamas. We're very, very low on our pajama stock. Very few in teenage sizes even come in usually. So a lot of women's small and medium, a lot of men's medium and large. We do need those for teenagers. Yep. So if you're out shopping and see some of those on sale, they will go into the teen hampers this year. We always run out. We always run out. So having those things on hand will just help us be able to execute that a lot more efficiently this year.
100%. And let's be frank. I mean, gift card shopping, minimal effort, maximum benefit for teenagers, as you say. They choose what they want.
Yeah.
And you've done a great service to your community. So wonderful. Lots to think about there. As we said, if you're out shopping today, grab something extra, grab some gift cards. Think about what your kids or what kids your kids' age might want. Grab two. Bring them by Home Hardware for the Home Hardware Straight Group Toy Drive. Again, we're going to be there all afternoon long. Home Hardware is open till 5 p.m., I believe, today. And then tomorrow, we're going to be there all day. They open at 9
a.m. I have you down for.
Yeah, and are there till 5 o'clock. And again, we want the aisles full of toys donated to help keep those hampers full and continue on into the new year. Anything else you want to say before I let you go there, Patricia?
Can I plug my pies?
Yes.
I am still looking. We are looking for about 200 pies to fill our food hampers. Those go in for families for them to have a little dessert after their Christmas turkey or Christmas ham.
Absolutely.
That is something I've not been able to secure. So if you're kicking around and got pie on your brain, stop by or shoot me a message, patricia.budgell@salvationarmy.ca. And I will gladly accept your pies.
Okay. And the rules on this, it's got to be something that's prepared in commercial kitchen, I assume?
Yes.
So, like, if you're great at making pies at home, that's awesome. But you can't really donate that, right?
If you're great at making 200 pies at home, please come to my house and teach me how to make a pie.
Okay. Patricia, thank you. I know how busy you are. Thanks for stopping by to chat with us
problem.
today.
Thanks for having us.
It. That's Patricia Budgell with the Fort St. John Salvation Army. Well, where is it here? There, I did have the right paper in front of you. That was Patricia Budgell. Thanks again to Jordan Kealy for joining us today on This Week in the Piece, and thank you for tuning in.
You can listen to this show again by checking out the podcast at Energeticcity.ca/podcasts. We'll store this and future episodes of the show there as we make them. Also, check out our other locally produced podcasts, Before the Peace and Secrets of the North as well. That's our show. I'm Steve Berard.
And I'm Dub Craig. Be well.
Join us again next Friday morning at 10 for another edition of This Week in the Peace, your weekly talk show dedicated to the people, events, and news of BC's Peace region. Or you can listen to this podcast again at Energeticcity.ca.
This holiday season, forget the gift